Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. With the blessings of the Paramacharyas, this soul has undertaken this journey of reaching the life and works of saints of India. The content is based on information available from Amar Chitra Katha, Wikipedia.com, Hindujagrati.org and other portals. The content is short and easily comprehensible. Bharat, as India is known, is famous for its art and culture. Besides these two, it has been and continues to be a cradle of noble souls who have been appearing over generations to instill in the wavering minds Sanatana Dharma, also known as Hindu Dharma in the recent centuries. The aim of this series of Saints of India is to reach to the current generation, besides others, the saints of other regions of our motherland. Each listener might have come across saints of their region, but might be unaware of those saints who have appeared in other parts of the country. This soul has put in effort in reaching the life of the saints of India to you. May mankind be blessed.
Adi Shankara. Shivaguru and Aryamba, a pious couple, lived in a village called Kaladi on the east banks of the river Periyar in present-day Kerala. Both of them were Lord Shiva's ardent devotees. While Shivaguru taught people the tradition, Aryamba fed the poor and the needy. One day, Shivaguru and Aryamba decided to go to Trishur, which was close to 35 miles from Kaladi. They wanted to have the darshan of Lord Chandramaulishwara in Trishur. Early in the morning, they left Kaladi and proceeded towards Trishur. After a long and tiring journey, they reached Trishur. After refreshing up, they went straight to the temple to worship the Lord. They had darshan to their heart content. After having their dinner, they slept early that night. It wasn't a coincidence, but Lord Shiva's blessing on them that both of them dreamt the same. Lord Shiva, in the form of a rishi, appeared in their dream. The rishi gave them two options, asking them to select one of them. He asked in their dreams, "You shall be blessed with either 100 children who will live long, or a brilliant child whose life will be short. Which one will you prefer?" Shivaguru and Aryamba in their sleep prayed to the rishi that they be blessed with one son who will be brilliant. The rishi said, "So be it," and disappeared. Waking up, both of them shared their dreams and were happy that Lord Chandramaulishwara has answered their prayers. With overwhelming joy, both Aryamba and Shivaguru returned to Kaladi the next day. As usual, they continued with their chores of serving the poor and the needy, the learned and the aged. Days went by and Aryamba conceived. Over the months, on a bright noon, a child was born to the couple. The people who came to visit the couple and the child adored the child, and the Pandits said that the child would attain greatness as he grew. As per the Hindu tradition, Shivaguru organized for the naming ceremony of the baby boy. He invited the village people, and at an auspicious moment, he named the child after their beloved god Shiva as Shankara, the other name of Shiva. The years rolled by, the infant grew up to be a kid. Keeping in line with the Hindu tradition, and in particular the Brahmin tradition, Shankara was anointed with the sacred thread at the age of 5 and was administered the sacred Gayatri Mantra. It was the tradition, since there weren't schools like the one what we have in the present world, to send the child post his Upanayanam or anointment of sacred thread to go to a guru and get siksha or his lessons of the Hindu scriptures. There weren't fees to the guru or the Guru Mata, the wife of the guru. The students were required to learn their lessons and in the free time go to the forest to get firewood, fetch water from the river for all, wash clothes, sweep and keep the Gurukulam or their school neat and tidy, besides going to the neighboring houses and seek alms in the form of grains. This, when collected, will be cooked by the Guru Mata and then served as food to all the people in the Gurukulam. The act of going and seeking alms is called as Bhiksha. One day, when Shankara stopped at a house and said, Bhavati Bhikshan Dehi, meaning, please give me alms, a lady came out of the much dilapidated house, saw the little Shankara and crumbled in shame. She said that she was ashamed that she had nothing to give him as alms to the young student other than a gooseberry. Saying that, she dropped it in the mud bowl carried by Shankara. Shankara appreciated the sincerity of the lady and asked her not to be ashamed, for she had the heart to give the last of the things she possessed. He said that the Divine Mother would bless her, saying that he said the Kanakadara Stotram in front of her, and the Divine Mother blessed the lady with a rain of gold coins. This is how the world got the Kanakadara Stotram. Shankara completed his Gurukula Vasam or his schooling and returned back to Kaladi to join his parents. The young Shankara was shocked to learn that his father Sivaguru attained the lotus feet of the Lord during his schooling days. The grieving Aryamba's health was slowly deteriorating. She became weak over the days, and one day, on way to the river Periyar to take bath, she fainted and fell down. Shankara alone was unable to carry and bring her back home. With the help of his friends, he carried her and brought her home. Though she was happy that she has come back home, she told Shankara that with failing health, she wondered if she could have bath in the river every day as she did earlier. Shankara assured her that she can take bath as ever. With the help of his friends, he diverted the flow of the river Periyar and made the river to change its course and flow close to their house. This enabled Aryamba to continue taking bath in the river. Shankara was 7 years. When alone, Shankara thought about so many things. He wanted the people to be united spiritually and also as citizens of the nation. He finally arrived at a conclusion that what he wanted to achieve will not be possible by a person if he is bound with family and its compulsions, and that the best way would be to become a sannyasin. To become a sannyasin as a bachelor, Shankara sought the permission of his mother. Aryamba immediately rebuked his thought and questioned him how he can desert her and go. She also said that she wanted him to marry and start a family. No was the answer. Shankara was not disappointed, but at the same time didn't want to marry to start a family. He resolved that he will not become a sannyasin without the permission of his mother. He was hopeful that his mother would accede to his request someday or other, and that he would wait for the day to come. Days were not far off for Shankara to get the permission. One day, when Shankara was having bath in the river, a crocodile caught him. Despite best of the efforts by Shankara, it would not let go him. Aryamba, standing on the banks, was seeing Shankara struggle with the crocodile. Shankara realized that there is no escape from the crocodile. He called up his mother and requested that she give him permission to become a sannyasin so that when he dies, he would die as a sannyasin. With a heavy heart, Aryamba said, "If you want to be, so be it." Surprisingly, the crocodile which was having Shankara caught in his jaws left him and moved into the river. Shankara got ready to move ahead. After a few days, Shankara left home in search of a guru who could initiate him as a sannyasi. Before leaving home, when his mother asked him who would help her out at times of emergency, Shankara promised Aryamba that he would come to her wherever he was the moment she thinks that his presence was required. The schoolmates of Shankara bid him an emotional farewell, and Shankara started his journey in the quest of a guru. One can say that there isn't any village in India which Shankara left unexplored in search of his guru. For him, peace of mind to the world was of utmost importance. Searching for his guru, he moved from south of India to the north. On the banks of the river Narmada, he saw the sage Govind Bhagavad Pada staying in a cave with his disciples, converting the cave as his abode. Shankara felt that this sage will be his guru, whom he was searching all these days. When he reached the cave, he saw a pair of sandals belonging to the guru outside the cave. Emotions overtook Shankara and he recited Guru Padukanam Stotram. The guru came out and asked him what is he in search of, for which the young sannyasi Shankara told that he has come in search of who am I. The way in which Shankara approached the cave and the sage impressed the sage Govind Bhagavad Pada. Shankara was 8 years old then. The sage also gave the title to Shankara as Paramahamsa Sannyasi or highest order of sannyasi. Thus began the ascetic life of the sannyasin Shankara. From here, I will be narrating highlights of Shankara ascetic life. For the time required to speak about Jagadguru Shankara, this lifespan of mine is not enough. Hence, the highlights. Once when Shankara was meditating, the villagers came running to Shankara, alarmed at the rising levels of Narmada, which was in spate. They informed him that their village has been submerged and the water levels are rising at an alarming rate and will soon reach the ashram too. Shankara went to banks of Narmada and kept his kamandal on the way of Narmada. It is said that the fury of the river calmed and the water started receding thereafter. This avoided the river from entering into the cave where his guru, sage Govind Bhagavad Pada, was meditating. The cave is maintained even today at Omkareshwar, Madhya Pradesh. Under sage Govind Bhagavad Pada, Shankara learned the Upanishads, 4 Vedas, Brahma Sutra and other scriptures. The speed at which Shankara was able to grasp the teachings and interpret them took his guru by surprise. With the encouragement, Shankara started writing his bhashyams or commentaries on the epics of Hindu mythologies. As days passed by, after being anointed as a sannyasi, Shankara once had a vision of sage Vedavyasa. Shankara was asked to move ahead with his mission of uniting people across the country. As an obedient Shishya, Shankara discussed this with his guru, sage Govind Bhagavad Pada. The guru blessed him and advised him to proceed to Kashi and spread the philosophy of Advaita or non-dualism. Shankara taught and spread the philosophy of Advaita. He was contacted by many to become his disciple, but notable among them is Vishnu Sharman. He was a scholar from the Chola kingdom. We would be learning about his dedication to his guru in the next few minutes. Vishnu Sharman was ordained in the Shankara's line and was named as Sadananda in his sannyasin life. Shankara not only preached Advaita in Kashi but was also visiting many temples situated in Kashi. He would sit in the temples and meditate for hours together. Kalananda, a famous poet of Kashi, was an ardent devotee of Shankara. Over a period of time, he wanted to become a disciple of Sri Shankara. Shankara accepted him as his disciple and in the new life gave him the name Todakacharya. An interesting event will be shared at a later part of this episode. Following incidents will highlight Guru Bhakti which is much in wanting today, both at school and in other places of learning. Shankara was on the banks of a river walking with his disciples. On the other bank, he saw one of his disciples, Sanandana. Shankara called him and asked him to bring his clothes. Sanandana immediately collected the clothes of his Acharya and stepped into the river. His focus was to fulfill the orders given by his Acharya and to reach the other bank to hand over the clothes. As he stepped into the river, a lotus appeared to support his feet, which he was unaware of. Every step he took in the river was supported by a lotus. All the disciples of Shankara were surprised at what was happening. After this incident, Shankara renamed Sanandana as Padmapada or lotus foot person. When Shankara was traveling around India, he had to face many who engaged him in debates of Advaita and also his philosophy, only to be defeated. A learned Pandit of Mithila by name Mandana Mishra was one of those who had a debate with Shankara. The debate was all about which one is better, karma or Gyan. Shankara was for Gyan and Mandana Mishra was for karma. For this, Mandana Mishra's wife, Srimati Ubaya Bharati, was to be the judge. Shankara said if he loses the debate, he will quit being an ascetic and will embrace Grihasthasrama. Mandana Mishra, on his part, said that if he loses the debate, he will become an ascetic. Mandana Mishra and Shankara engaged in the debate, which extended day after day. Other than the break they had for their ablutions and sleep at night, the debate continued. Finally, one day, Mandana Mishra accepted defeat and requested Shankara to accept him as his disciple. At that moment, Srimati Ubaya Bharati intervened and said that the wife forms half part of the husband. Hence, Shankara has won half the debate and he should face her and win her before he could claim as the winner. She engaged in the debate and started asking about things in the life of a couple, namely the relationship between the husband and the wife and all about
their intimate relationship.
When she shot these questions, Shankara was stunned, for he had no idea about the Grihasthasrama. Then Srimati Ubaya Bharati suggested to Shankara that he concede defeat. Shankara asked for some time before he could resume the debate, for which there wasn't any objection. Shankara, along with his disciples, left the house of Mandana Mishra and proceeded towards the jungle. In the jungle, he entered a cave and before lying down, told his disciple Padmapada that he is leaving his body and nothing should be done to it. He also asked Padmapada to guard his body till he returns. With his yogic powers, Shankara got into the body of King Amaruka, who had died short while earlier. Everyone in the palace were happy that the king wasn't dead. Shankara, in the body of the king, went around performing the duties of the king as well as that of a husband. As a king would attend duties, the reborn Amaruka also performed. Having understood the life of Grihastha, Shankara came back to his body and thereafter proceeded to meet Ubaya Bharati and continue the debate. Now, he was able to answer all the questions posed in the debate by Bharati. Finally, she conceded defeat to Shankara and became his disciple, following the footsteps of her husband. Mandana Mishra became a disciple of Shankara, who gave him a monastic name, Sureshwaracharya. There is an instance of the student's love and affection towards his Acharya or Guru. It so happened during a sojourn of Shankara, a Kapalika came to Shankara and told that he wanted to give Shankara as a human sacrifice to Kali. Shankara said that he may come at an appointed hour and take his life to fulfill his vow to goddess Kali. When the time came, Shankara was in deep meditation and the Kapalika arrived. Padmapada, a staunch Upasaka of god Narasimha, before becoming a disciple of Shankara, was in the vicinity. When the Kapalika raised his sword to behead Shankara, Padmapada came in like a flash and tore the body of the Kapalika, who was about to take the life of his Acharya. It took some time for him to come to senses and to realize what has happened to him. Shankara was in meditation and wasn't aware of the happenings. Such was the Guru Bhakti of Padmapada. Having seen the respect and trust the student has for his Guru, let us now see an incident where the Guru implies to others the greatness of his disciple. It so happened in the ashram of Shankara, his disciples came for the class and were seated in front of their Guru. Everyone other than Giri were present. Shankara did not start the class for others. Everyone knew that Giri is poor in comprehending and that he was dull-headed. Padmapada requested the Acharya to start the class. But Shankara wouldn't budge to the request and said, "Let Giri come and we will start the class." For this statement, Padmapada criticizing said that talking to the wall and teaching to Giri are the same. By this time, Giri came and joined the class. For a question from the Guru, none were able to give the answer, but Giri stood up and recited the answer poetically in 8 stanza, which we now recite as Totakashtakam. All his fellow students were dumbfounded at the knowledge of Giri. He from then was called as Totakacharya. All his disciples and followers started calling Shankara as Acharya, and thus his name became Shankaracharya. When Shankaracharya came to Gokarna in the western coast, a child was brought by his wealthy father, whose face said it all that he was sad. They had come from a nearby town. The father and the son approached Shankaracharya. The son was introduced to the Acharya by his father, saying that the son is dumb and stupid, which was giving him a lot of pain. He was requested to cure the child. Shankaracharya blessed the child, and immediately his speech was restored to the wonder of all who were present. In addition to this, the child prostrated to the Acharya, while thanking him for restoring his ability to speak, requested that he be taken as a disciple. Shankaracharya accepted his petition and gave him the name Hastamalakacharya. As the Shankaracharya proceeded south, he came to Sringeri, where he appointed Sureshwaracharya as the head of the mutt there. This happens to be the first mutt established by Sri Adi Shankaracharya. He continued to stay in Sringeri for a month when he had a feeling that his mother was yearning to have him next to her. This was ratified by some sannyasins who were passing through Sringeri. They mentioned to Shankaracharya that his mother was seriously ill. The Acharya knew that the time has come and he rushed to Kaladi. There is a version which states between the time Aryamba wanted Shankara to be by her side and the time Shankara reached Kaladi, Bhagavan Sri Krishna was there taking care. She was not able to clearly see the person in attendance due to failing sight, but thought it was Shankara who was come to serve her. On the day when Shankara reached Kaladi, she happened to feel the ornaments in the hand, and when she queried why he was wearing jewels, the person never appeared. When this was mentioned to Shankara on his arrival there by her, he thanked Lord Krishna for taking care of his mother till his arrival. Soon, Aryamba attained the lotus feet of the Lord. As the only son, Shankara wanted to perform the last rites of his mother. The orthodox Namboodiris objected to this and disowned both Shankara and the departed Aryamba. Shankara was unfazed by the behavior of the village people. He carried the body of his mother to the backyard of his house, cut the plantain trees for firewood, and prayed to Lord Agni to help him in lighting the pyre of his mother. the pyre lit, and his mother was cremated. Shankaracharya then left Kaladi. He travelled throughout India, establishing mutts at Puri, Dwaraka, and Jyotirmad besides the one at Sringeri. Adi Shankara went round Bharat twice after his mother's demise. In the process, he wrote numerous slokas on all gods and goddesses, which I am sure you as a listener of this podcast will vouch for. When he was 32 years old, Adi Shankaracharya came to Kedarnath. After worshipping in the temple, he walked into a cave in the mountains behind the temple, and that was the last time people saw him. We are blessed to be born in the country where this great Acharya was born and are blessed to have known him. Jaya Jaya Shankara, Hara Hara Shankara.
Hope you enjoyed listening to this episode of Saints of India. If you'd like to support this series, please consider contributing at patreon.com. The link for the same is given in the description. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.